So the question is it non-coercive for me to not buy something for my kid if I'm in the store and they want a toy and they already have toys at home, lots of toys at home, and for me to just make the decision and to say no? Is that coercive? Because they, we're the parents, we really know how many toys they have. They're probably just going to play for this one for 5 minutes anyways. I'm adding to it now. And so, yeah, it's a deep question. It's a multi-layered question, as always. It's multi-layered. So on the one hand, is it coercive? Technically, yes, it is. I mean, that's what coercion is. We all have our line that we'll cross where we're willing to, like people always say, what if your kid's running into the street and going to get hit by a car? Are you going to coerce them then? Yes, I'm going to grab them and pull them away so they don't get hit. But I'm not going to be upset. I'm not going to make a rule or a boundary. I'm going to talk to them about it, and we'll practice and we'll learn about it together. But of course, in that moment, I'm going to do that. Of course, all of us would. But where does that line end? Does it end with them wanting 2 cookies? If 2 cookies for before dinner is going to ruin your dinner, that's not good for your health. So maybe I'll coerce there, right? And then homework. But I mean, if you don't study for this test and you don't do well, you're going to be really upset. Maybe I might push a little bit there. And where do we push? Where do we make that decision? Where do we cross that line where it's okay? So is it okay? I don't know. It's not for me to decide, right? But for me, I'm trying to follow the principle. So there's a couple of things here. Number one, if you can say no in a way that preserves the relationship and they're not upset and they understand, or they're even happy about it, or they're distracted and it's fine, then it's fine. Really, because the inner experience isn't, oh, I didn't get my way. The inner experience is something else joyful happened and we moved on, and that's fine. It's a very different experience. The lived experience of the young child in their nervous system, it's very different. And that's really what I care about. One of the things that I care about. Yes, it's still a little manipulative, but if you really don't want to buy the gamma-gammatron, the red gamma-gammatron, because they just bought a blue gamma-gammatron last week and they hardly play with it, and now they want a red gamma-gammatron, why would you buy it? Of course not. I would buy it if I could afford it, but if you didn't want to and you decided to say no, and the kid gets upset because you're saying no, then at that point there's an issue, a relational issue, a power issue. It's going to be really, really hard at that point. Now, here's the thing. If you can't afford it, genuinely can't afford it because you've got bills to pay, maybe you're saving for a vacation and you know exactly how much you have and you really can't afford this, not that just it's annoying, but you can't afford it, then you're not saying no. You're saying, we really can't. But we're saying yes, though. I'm saying, yes, I want to get this for you. I want you to have the blue gamma-gammatron 100% because you want it. I want you to have it because that's what I really want. That's a yes. It's a very clear yes. And we can't afford it right now because we don't have the money because of this or because we're saving up for that. And I can show you the bank when we get home and how it works, and I can show you the numbers, and it's interesting. It's age appropriate depending on how old they are. You can explain a little bit and you can say, and I know it's hard. It's hard for me too because I want to get it for you. And I want to say, I'm telling you this, that I never said no. I almost never said no to my kid from a place of authority. I only said no to her when I had to say I can't or we can't. The reason I'm mentioning that is that when my kid was young, we did not have a lot of money. We could not afford to buy her most of the things that she asked for most of the time. And one of the biggest stresses in our lives was money stresses. Even to the point there was a period of a year or two where friends were having to subsidize and buy us groceries because we couldn't afford it at one point. So I know about having to say no because of money. This is not that. This is a completely different thing when I talk about not saying no. Geez, it's already 4 minutes. So the thing is, only your discernment matters. If you go into that store and they ask for it and it bothers you and that's why you're saying no, it's coercive. For sure. Can you discuss it later? Can you come to some kind of agreement over the next few months by working through a process of really hearing them and making them feel really valued? in their wanting of things and how wonderful it is, and also here are other things to consider, but it's still so wonderful and I don't want to inhibit it, but also here are these other things. Can we find a way to work all of them together? And this is what's important to me. And like 6 months later, a year later, you have a nice kind of flow around money, a nicer flow around money because you put in the work to set some long-term patterns. That's what I teach. It's not doing nothing. Everybody always says it's doing nothing. It's not doing nothing. It's doing something with a little bit slower, a little bit longer, a little bit deeper, but it produces something that's sustainable and resilient and so effective. You know, it's really powerful. Oh, and before I go, please sign up for my free course, Guiding Without Controlling, if you haven't done so, at meaningfulideas.com. That's meaningfulideas.com for my free course. All right, peace out.